Hello learners, I am Professor Munish Kumar Bhardwaj from School of Engineering and Technology, and today I'll discuss with you the classification of disasters. As you know, this topic is related to your course MIS 033, disaster management basically. So let us begin with the word disaster. What is disaster? So as per the dictionary meaning, basically you can say disaster is an event that causes a lot of harm or damage. It is the simplest literal meaning of this word disaster. But if you go to that exact definition, so we can follow the definition given by the United Nations Office of Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR. It says that a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or a society at any scale due to hazardous events interacting with conditions of exposure, vulnerability, and capacity. Three words are important here basically. That conditions of the exposure. What is the scale of exposure or the amount of exposure? Then second thing is vulnerability. That what is the vulnerability of the section or the society to that hazard basically. And third one is the capacity or the capability to bear with that or to fight with that hazard basically of a particular section or of a group or the society. Which leads to, or you can say leading to, one or more of the following. What following? The human, material, economic and environmental losses and impact on these basically. So here we are considering four type of losses and impact on these four different sections basically. What are these? Number one is your human. That what is a human loss because of any disaster? Along with this loss, the impact also. What is the impact on the human being? Then second thing is material. What are material losses? There may be damage to infrastructure. There may be some economic losses basically. So third is economic losses. And the fourth one is environment. Because environment is also very precious to us. So environmental losses are also considered here when we are talking about the disaster. So this is the definition given by UNDRR. So here one word is coming in this definition, that is hazardous events. So when we are talking about hazardous events, means then what is a hazard? So again, let us see how we can define the hazard. Then again, you can give a simple definition to hazard as well as a definition given by UNDRR or other agencies. So simplest definition, or you can say the literal meaning or the definition or the meaning from the dictionary, it goes as a hazard is a potential source of harm. Simplest thing. That anything which can harm is the hazard. So the source, potential source of harm is the hazard. This is the simplest definition. But if you go to that exact definition as given by UNDRR, it says that a process, phenomena or human activity that may cause loss of life, injury or health impacts, property damage, social and economic disruption or environmental degradation. So these things are covered under this definition. So you saw the word disaster. You just listened about the hazard. So now you can very well understand what is the difference between the hazard and the disaster. So as I say, hazard is the potential source of harm, whereas disaster is the effect of that, impact of this hazard on a section or the society basically. So a hazard becomes disaster when the section of the society or the exposed people are not capable to bear with the impacts of the hazard. Just like an earthquake, if the magnitude of earthquake is small, like 2.5 to 3, so its impact on the people or on the built environment will be negligible. So it will not be a disaster in that case. But an earthquake of magnitude around 6 or more, it will impact the built environment as well as the people a lot, and the earthquake will become a disaster. So this is the difference between the hazard and the disaster. Here you see that the difference between the natural hazard and disaster is that an earthquake is the hazard which caused 2001 Bhuj earthquake disaster. Means earthquake is hazard as well as disaster if its impact is a lot basically. So this is the difference between the hazard and the disaster. Because that Bhuj earthquake basically, it was of high magnitude, it did a lot of loss to the property as well as it took thousands of lives. So that way this earthquake hazard became earthquake disaster in 2001 in Bhuj. Now let us move to the classification of disasters. So there are different type of disasters. How we classify these disasters? So broadly, disasters are classified into the two major categories, but third one is also evolved, which is the interaction of the first two basically. What are these two categories? These two categories are natural disasters and man-made disasters. Natural disasters are due to the natural causes. As it goes from its name, the natural disasters are caused by the things which happen in the nature basically, which are caused due to phenomena related to earth, topography, atmosphere, meteorological, hydrological and biological things basically. Easiest example is earthquake or any epidemic if you consider the disease. Lot many other natural disasters, drought, floods, cold wave, heat wave, landslide, so many things basically. So these all natural events come into the category of the natural disaster because they occur naturally. There is no role of human being in their occurrence. Second category is man-made disasters, means in which there is an involvement of the human being. Other names by which these man-made disasters are also known are anthropological disasters or socio-technical disasters. And as it is clear from its name, here there is a role of the human being in their occurrence basically. Because of some intervention of the human being, these disasters are occurring. Because of some mistakes by the human being, these disasters are occurring. So because of that, we are calling them as the man-made disasters or anthropogenic or socio-technical disasters. Just like Simplest example is fire. Due to some mistakes by the human being, the fire incidences occur. Whether it is at home, whether it is in industry, so these all fires are mainly caused by some human mistake, basically. Then third type, which is basically the interaction of the first two, that is the natural disaster and the man-made disasters. Means here both the nature as well as the human being are playing their role. And because of this interaction of the two, these type of disasters are occurring. And the name given is because of this hybrid. Because here two different things are playing their role. And because of the interaction of the two different things, basically, these disasters are occurring. So, their name is given as the hybrid disasters. For example, flood ravaged community built on known flood plain. You just saw that flood is a natural disaster. But when you know that a particular region is a flood prone area, flood zone area basically, and if in that region intentionally, after knowing that this is a flood prone area, flood zone basically, you are constructing houses, you are building structures there. So means you are inviting a disaster to occur. So that way this is called as the hybrid disasters, because here it is occurring because of that natural disasters and some intervention of the human being also. So that is what. Then we see these categories in a tabular form, basically what are different type of disasters. So I have presented here different type of disasters. Then the subcategory of these disasters means the sub-disasters also, and then example of that disaster or the name of the disaster. So let us begin with that first one, that is natural disaster. In natural disaster, there are various subcategories or the sub-disasters are there. Like first one is geological or geophysical disaster. As it is clear from its name, basically these are the natural phenomena beneath the earth's surface. Means something happening beneath the earth's surface, and because of that the impact is being felt on the built environment as well as on the human being basically. So here what are the examples of these disasters? Here the examples of these geological or geophysical disasters are like earthquake, because it generates beneath the earth's surface. Then volcanic eruptions, these generate beneath the earth's surface. Then tsunami, because here also the disturbance occur in the surface which is below the crust basically, or you can say under the sea, because here it is the disbalance of that crust under the sea, and because of that the energy transferred from this disbalance of that earth crust to the water, then this energy being transported by the water to the different places, and when ultimately it reaches to the seashore, due to this enormous energy, water waves are rising up to many meters. It may go up to 10 meters, 20 meters high basically. So because all the actions or disturbances here are occurring beneath the surface, so these all disasters are coming into the subcategory of geological or geophysical disasters. Then second subcategory or sub-disaster is topographical phenomena. Topographical phenomena means which are occurring at the earth's surface. Here there are two important examples. First one is landslide. Second one is avalanche, which is occurring in the snow-bound areas. This avalanche is you can say a snow slide. Just like in landslide, that land and rocks are moving. Here the snow is moving basically. Then third subcategory or sub-disaster is meteorological or hydrological phenomena. Here we are considering the two, meteorological or hydrological. Meteorological means related to atmosphere and hydrological means related to water basically. So what are the examples of these two, meteorological or the hydrological phenomena? For meteorological, basically wind storms. Different names are given in the different parts of the world basically to these wind storms. In some parts they are known as cyclone. In some parts they are known as typhoon. At some places these are known as hurricane. So these all are wind storms basically, where strong winds are moving and they are disturbing our built environment as well as the human being. Then tornadoes, hailstorm, snowstorm. Then if you talk about hydrological phenomena, then sea surges, flood and drought. These are the hydrological phenomena. So all these which I discussed here are natural disasters. Next in the list is biological phenomena. This is also under the natural disaster category. So what are biological phenomena? Means the disasters which are caused by the bacteria and viruses basically. Microorganisms, you can say single word, microorganisms. So like infestations in which locust worms are there, measly bug is there, then various epidemics basically, in which you can call as cholera, dengue, then tuberculosis, Ebola, HIV/AIDS, then malaria, meningitis, COVID, etc., which are caused either by bacteria or viruses basically. So these are taken under the category of biological phenomena. Then these were the natural disasters basically. Then next category is man-made disasters. In man-made disasters basically, one important subcategory is socio-technical disasters. Under this socio-technical, again we are taking different categories. Technological disasters means which are caused because of the failure of some technology or ill effects of the technology. Like fire. Because we are using technology, we are using electricity, we are using different flammable materials basically for different purposes, industrial purposes and different other purposes. And because of some mistakes of the human being, these materials are catching fire. So these big fire accidents occurring because of the human mistakes basically. Then second is structural collapse. Because of the advancement of technologies, human beings started making different type of structures, but because of some faults, some defects basically, either the structures are not properly designed or the proper material is not used basically for construction of the material, or there was a bad workmanship. So there may be several reasons basically. Because of these reasons, there may be a failure of the structure or structure may collapse. So this means here the disaster is occurring because of the technological failure. And technology is being used by the human being. So that is what it is, a man-made disaster. Then if we move to another man-made disaster, which is under the category of technological, then it comes explosions, various type of explosions. What various type of explosions? Chemical explosion, nuclear explosion, then explosion in the mines, then munitions. So in different conditions, such type of explosions may occur, and which are because of the mistake of human being. So that is what it is coming in the man-made disaster. Then there may be leakage or release of some toxic materials, because in industry we are using several toxic materials basically for manufacturing different things, whether it is chemical fertilizer, whether it is pesticides, whether it is different type of polymers basically. So many products make use of some toxic materials basically, and if by mistake there is a leakage or release of these toxic materials basically, then it may cause disaster. Just like if you remember the Bhopal gas tragedy, where because of the leakage of a very toxic gas basically, thousands of lives lost in Bhopal. Then another one is pollution. The pollution is caused by different human activities. If human being stops doing those things, then pollution will not be there. And that we saw very well during the COVID basically. During COVID-19, when the lockdown was imposed, then you can remember that our rivers got clean, our atmosphere got cleaned, the sky was very clear, you were able to see the stars. Otherwise, due to pollution, air pollution, you were not able to see the stars in urban areas especially. In rivers like Yamuna, which is very polluted, it was having a clean water during that COVID-19 period because of the lockdown of the industries and various other activities. So pollution is caused by the different human activities basically, and this pollution can cause great damage. This pollution, especially in urban areas like Delhi basically, it is causing the problem to the lungs of the people. Many people are getting asthmatic, they are not able to breathe when that pollution level is high basically, so many health problems are occurring to them. Then there may be chemical pollution because of that industrial activities. There may be incidences of acid rains because of this industrial activities. Then acid fumes goes to the environment, and when rain occurs, these gases dissolve into that rainwater. Then acidic rain is there basically, which is very harmful to that lives, various type of lives basically. Then under the socio-technical category, subcategory, we now see at the transportation disasters. Because we are moving from place to place and we are using different type of travel modes or transportation mode. And because of different errors, various errors, there are accidents. And these accidents are seen in every type of mode of transportation, whether it is road, whether it is rail, whether it is air. Then there may be disasters due to public places failure. like at public places, failure of bridges, and then crowd stampede. These are some examples of the public places failure. Then production failure. There may be chances of computer system breakdown, because now we are very much dependent on the computers for our daily life work as well as our office work. Industries are working with the help of that network of the computers. So if there is a computer breakdown, then all business, all economic activities will shut down. So it is also a disaster. Then distribution of defective products. If some defective products comes into the market and if we are using them, then it may cause great problem. If it is something related to product related to our food, then it may cause many diseases. So it may turn into a disaster. So that production failure is also a subcategory of the disaster, basically man-made disaster. Then another important man-made disaster is warfare. These warfare may be at two different levels, national level and international level. In national level, there may be civil war between different communities. There may be civil strike due to which the life will hamper. Activities of daily life may hamper. Then there may be disturbance in that daily routine because of some bomb threat. That there may be disruption to the train movement, there may be disruption to that aeroplane movement because of that bomb threat, basically. Then there may be a disturbance to our different activities because of the terrorist attack. So all these are warfare at national level. Another category in warfare is the international level, in which we are considering the war between the armies of two different countries. And these international war may be of two types, conventional and non-conventional. Conventional wars means when these wars are being fought using the conventional weapons. Whereas the non-conventional wars are the wars in which the nations may use non-conventional weapons. Non-conventional weapons like that nuclear bomb, like that chemical warfare. Then there is a warfare in which that biological agents are used, which is called as a biological warfare, in which bacteria and viruses are used to defeat the opposition army. So these are different type of man-made disasters, basically. Then we come to that last category, which is hybrid disasters, basically. As I told you earlier also, these hybrid disasters are the result of the interaction of the natural disaster and the human being, that human activities. As I gave you an example of flood-ravaged community built on known floodplain. It is known that this is a floodplain, it is a flood zone area, and in that you are constructing houses and the buildings. So certainly you are inviting a disaster. So there may be that flood disaster, basically, which may occur in this area. Second one is location of residential premises and factories at the foot of active volcano or landslide prone area. So you are simply inviting a disaster to happen, basically. A very good example of this hybrid disaster is the Wayanad landslide, basically. That area is a landslide prone area. It is well known because of its steep terrain, high rainfall, and very fragile you can say that it's ecosystem basically. So, but despite that, there was a settlement, there were houses, there were colonies there, and when a high rainfall occurred, then in July 2024, 30th July 2024, landslide occurred, and there was huge losses of that infrastructure, houses, as well as the lives. So these hybrid disasters are basically because of the interaction of the natural reasons or natural disasters and the human being basically. Now let us see the overview of natural disasters in India. So India's key vulnerabilities as articulated in 10th plan, we are talking about the 10th plan which was in 2002-2007, though this data is little old basically. But as per this 10th plan, the coastal states, particularly East Coast and Gujarat, are vulnerable to cyclones. Means cyclonic disasters can affect our East Coast and the Gujarat. Then 4 crore hectare land mass is vulnerable to floods in India total. Then 68% of net sown area is vulnerable to droughts. So it's a large amount. You see that out of the net sown area where we are doing the agriculture, out of that 68% is vulnerable to drought. It's a big challenge. How our agriculture will survive in that case? We have to make some alternative arrangements basically. Then 55% of total area of the country is in seismic zone 3 to 5. It's a large area basically. Hence, a large part of the country is vulnerable to the earthquake basically. Then sub-Himalayan sector and Western Ghats are vulnerable to landslide. So this is the, you can say, regional distribution of different type of natural disasters in our country, in which we see here the earthquake, drought, floods, cyclones basically, that we consider here, that which part is affected by which type of disaster. Now let us move to that earthquake disaster. So first of all, here you see that seismic zone map of India. As you know, there are 4 seismic zones in our country basically. Earlier there were 5 seismic zones, zone 1 to zone 5 basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But after Bhuj earthquake, the codes were revised and zone 1 and zone 2 were merged basically. So there is no zone 1 basically, because zone 1 was considered to be the safest area of the country basically. So now there is no concept of that safe zone basically. So now that zone 1 and zone 2 are merged, and now the zoning starts with zone 2. So the names were not changed, zone 2, 3, 4, 5. So but there are 4 zones only. Though the zone 5 is there, name of zone 5 is there, number 5 is there, but the total number of zones are 4, because the numbering is start now with 2, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. And if you see here in this reddish part basically, these are of zone 5, which you see here in Jammu Kashmir, then a small part in Himachal Pradesh, then it goes to here in Uttarakhand, then here it goes to that Bihar, then here this one as whole of the northeast basically. whole of the northeast. And one here you see here the Gujarat. This is the Kutch region basically, where that 2001 earthquake occurred. Earlier this region was in zone 4, but after this Bhuj earthquake, because of that severity of the earthquake, now it has been put into a zone 5. Means it is the highest risk zone basically in the country. Next is zone 4. Zone 4, which is a little bit, you say here in orange color basically, this one. Here that north, whole of the Jammu Kashmir, then whole of Himachal, then whole of Uttarakhand, then part of the Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, here, then this part of Gujarat, then part of here Maharashtra. These are all in zone 4. Then, so this zone 4 and zone 5 are very high seismic zones basically, where we should take all care while we are constructing the buildings basically. Then come little bit safer in comparison to that zone 4 and zone 5 is zone 3, which is in this yellow color. So here this is zone 3. And rest, which is in blue color, this is zone 2 basically. So if you compare all these 4 zones, so you can say that zone 2 is a bit safer and zone 5 is the high risky zone basically. So this is a seismic zone map of India. If you get the details of these, then the Himalayan mountain ranges are considered to be the world's youngest fold mountain ranges basically. What is the meaning of this sentence here? That this is little bit you can say geologically younger mountains, and here these geological various geological disturbances used to occur, and because of that this region is a highly seismic prone area basically. The subterranean Himalayas are geologically very active, means here there are lot many chances of occurrence of the earthquake is there. As per a data, in a span of 53 years, 4 earthquakes exceeding magnitude of 8 on the Richter scale have occurred in this region basically. So this region is very highly prone area, seismic zone basically. Although these regions were considered seismic, if we talk about that peninsular part of India, because if first we talk about that Himalayan region, then if you compare the peninsular part of India with that Himalayan region, then this area is considered to be a little less active as far as that earthquake activities occur. But in this peninsular India, a very important earthquake occurred in 1993, which is known as the Latur earthquake, which is in a place in Maharashtra basically. So on September 30, 1993, an earthquake of 6.4 magnitude occurred basically. So you can say that you can conclude that no area is safe. So wherever there are faults, so these earthquakes may occur. Now let us discuss about the hazards associated with earthquakes. So all the hazards which are associated with earthquake, we can divide these hazards into 2 categories. One is primary hazards and another one is secondary hazard. What are these primary hazard and secondary hazard? Primary hazard means which are directly you can say affecting us or directly visible basically. And secondary hazards are the hazards which are caused by the these hazards basically by the earthquake basically. These are not direct, you can say these are the indirect hazards basically. What are these? Let us see one by one. So first primary hazard is the ground shaking. That when an earthquake occurs, so ground shakes. And depending upon the magnitude of the earthquake, the severity of that shaking depend basically. If the higher magnitude, then shaking will be very strong. If the magnitude of earthquake is little less, then this ground shaking will be less. So what is the impact of that ground shaking? This may damage to the structures, and that damage will depend upon the magnitude of the earthquake. There may be, for a small magnitude earthquake, there may be cracks in the buildings, but if the magnitude is high, then total collapse of the structure may occur, as you see here in this graphics. Basically, two different pictures are seen here, which is of some high magnitude earthquake basically. Then second primary hazard is landslide. That there may be in that steep slope areas, steep terrain areas basically, there may be landslide because of the earthquake. So this landslide may cause damage to the structures, may cause the death of the human beings basically, because here is a large mass of that earth moves from the slopes basically to downward, and whatever comes its way, it just washes out. It damages basically that thing. So as you see here, that in a built up area, lot many buildings are just destroyed because of this large moving landmass. Then third one is the liquefaction. This term is a bit technical. Liquefaction is the term related to the loss of the soil strength. What is this basically? That when you construct any building basically, so the weight of the building is transferred to the foundation, and ultimately the foundations are transferring their weight to the ground, and then earth is distributing that load to a larger area. So that way the load of the buildings are borne by the earth basically, and this is because of that shear strength of the soil basically. Shear strength, in this shear strength, that point to point contact of the soil particles plays a big role basically. But in saturated sandy soils, what happens that what is saturated sandy soil? First I should explain that every soil is having pores basically, small holes basically. When these pores or the holes are filled with water, then that soil is called as a saturated soil. So fully saturated means all the holes or the pores of the soil are filled with the water. So if there is a fully saturated sandy soil, especially sandy soil basically, then what happens that if some excessive shaking of that saturated sandy soil is done, then what happens, this saturated sandy soil loses its strength and it start behaving just like a liquid instead of soil basically. So what happens that when the soil will behave like a liquid, then it cannot support the weight of the buildings basically. Then the buildings will sink into the earth. So this is happening because of that excessive shaking, because of the earthquake. And if this shaking is done in that saturated sandy region, then there soil may lose its strength, and that this phenomena of liquefaction occurs there. And if some structure is there in that area, that structure may sink into that sand, into the ground basically. So this happens. So here, as you can see in this graphics, basically a building, part of the building sunk into the ground because of that liquefaction process basically. So next is surface rupture. In surface rupture, what happens that ground surface ruptures basically. So large gap are seen in the ground surface. So this also occur during the earthquake basically. So as you can see in this picture. So because of this, if some road is there, so road will be damaged. If some structure, if some bridge is there, so bridge will collapse because of this rupture. So many things, so many effects may be there. Then ground displacement. Here in rupture, it is there is a crack, wide cracks. Basically, in ground displacement, there is a, you can say that one part is moving down in comparison to the other part. So that ground displacement means vertical movement of the ground may occur because of that earthquake, and because of that part of the land will subside in one region. So that way, if some structure is there, it will be totally damaged. Just like you see in this picture here, in left picture, this road is totally damaged because of this ground displacement. Here in that right one, a bridge is collapsed because of this ground displacement basically. Then let us move to the secondary hazards. So if you talk about the secondary hazards, then first important secondary hazard is tsunami. And the tsunami occurs when some earthquake event occurs under the sea. Because of that earthquake, if there is a disbalance of that earthquake, this earth surface or the crust basically means some part is moving down in comparison to the others. So large energy is transferred to the water body, and that energy is carried away by the water, and when it reaches near the seashore, because of the high energy, the waves when strike to the bottom of the sea, basically waves are moving, high waves are generated, tides are generated, and it may go up to something around 10 meters, 15 meters basically. And when this wavefront moves to that offshore basically, so it washes out everything, whether it's a building, whether it is some human being or whatever it is, it will wash out everything. So as you see that what type of waves surge can occur basically, just you can compare that height of the waves in comparison to the buildings, that how high the tide is or the surge is in comparison to the buildings basically. So that may nothing will survive in such conditions. This is the thing basically. Then next is SOET. SOET is something similar to this tsunamis, only the difference is that these SOET occur in the means bound area, just like lake basically. It is again in the water body basically, just which is having that boundaries, means bound area, whereas this tsunami occurs in the sea basically. Otherwise the similar phenomena, only the difference is the place of occurrence. Tsunami occur in sea, whereas this SOET occur in lakes basically. And here you see the graphics of the size in the Lake Geneva in Switzerland, which occurred in Switzerland basically. So again here water is moving at a great height basically and cause damage to the people or things which are there in the lake basically. Then another secondary hazard is flooding basically. Because of these earthquake, if there is some failure of dam or some water storage structure, so it can cause flooding in that area. So this is the flooding. Then again, this earthquake can cause the fires also. Fires because of that broken electrical lines, gas lines, as well as the structural damage can start the fires basically. If some gas pipeline breaks because of that excessive shaking due to the earthquake, then and some source of fire is there, like some spark is there, or you are working in kitchen at the time of earthquake and your burners are on, and due to excessive shaking your pipeline breaks down. So in that case fire accident may occur. So this is the secondary you can say impact or the secondary hazard because of the earthquake. Now let us see what are the impacts of earthquake. These impacts of earthquake are something similar to the primary and secondary hazards basically. Most of the things are covered there. So what may be the impact is that you can put into the three categories or the three headings basically: physical damage, economic disruption, and environmental changes. Primary effects include the structural damage, ground shaking, and landslide, as we discussed in that primary hazards. The secondary effect or the secondary impacts include tsunamis, fires, and outbreak of disease, basically. Let us see the primary impacts. Structural damages means damage to our buildings, bridges, and other type of infrastructure because of that excessive ground shaking, basically. Then ground shaking itself is an impact, basically, because because of this excessive ground shaking, people may fall, they get injured, or there is a psychological trauma also. When you are in a high-rise building and it is vibrating a lot, then you get a trauma, basically, a fear in your mind that what will happen. So how can, whether we will survive or not, such type of trauma may occur. Then landslides and avalanche, as I told you in that primary hazards, that earthquake can trigger the landslides in the steepy terrain, hilly areas, basically, and avalanche in the areas which are snowbound areas, basically. Then tsunamis, as I told you, that this may occur when the earthquake event occurs under the sea and large water body mass get disturbed, and that energy is transferred to the seashore area. Then there is a high waves or the high tides there. Then secondary impact are fires, as I discussed in your secondary hazards, basically. Then liquefaction, then flooding, and another one is disease outbreak. That because of the destruction of water and sanitation system, there may be some spread diseases, because there may be that broken sewerage system, and because of that a lot of wastewater or this sewer water can get accumulated at a place, and it can lead to many diseases. It can lead to the outbreak of many diseases, basically. Then economical and social impacts. In addition to these structural and this outbreak of diseases, mental trauma, all these things, there are disturbances or impacts on the economy and the society also. Economic disruptions due to that damage of the business, disruption of supply chain, then because of these things, basically, it can cause the economic losses. Then loss of life, basically, because of the earthquake, because if some structure gets damaged, then these failure of structures can lead to the loss of lives, basically. Then psychological trauma, that as I told you, that because of that high vibrations in the buildings, or due to the death of some very near relatives or family members, basically. So people may get traumatized, basically. Then infrastructure damage, because of this earthquake, there may be damage to the bridges, damage to that important lifeline structures, just like hospital, communication systems, like power supplies. All these can disturb our life. Then we move to the floods, basically. And quickly I give you an account of that flood prone areas. 75% of rainfall is concentrated over the 4 months of monsoon. And because of that, this whole of the rain is occurring in the 4 months. Our large part of the country is susceptible to the floods, basically. Along with that, not only that excessive rainfall in that limited period, another problem is sediment deposition. Because our drains, our these water bodies are full of sediments, so they are not having that water carrying capacity. So because of that, even that small rain is there, the water is just breaking their boundaries and flooding occurs basically. This Brahmaputra and Gangetic basins are the most flood prone areas. Other flood prone areas are northwest region of that west flowing rivers like Narmada and Tapti, and central India and the Deccan region with the major east flowing rivers like Mahanadi, Krishna and Kaveri. While the area liable to floods is 40 million hectares, the average area affected by flood annually is about 8 million hectares. So large part of the country is affected by the floods. So these are some of the disasters, natural disasters basically, which I discussed with you. First of all, that classification of disasters, what are different type of disasters are there. Then I discussed with you the effect and impact of that natural disasters and the regional areas or the regions which are affected by these disasters. So I hope you must have enjoyed this discussion. We will meet in our next lectures and discuss the next things. Thank you.